People whose parents kicked them out of the house. What happened? I taught my cousins a language that changed our lives forever. You see, my family had this rule about women and silence. A woman's voice was considered poison after her 16th birthday. The silence ceremony happened at midnight. Your father holds you down while your mother sews a red thread across your lips. Not literally, but you wore that thread on your wrist as a reminder. Break the rule once, they'll lock you in the laundry room without food. Break it twice, they'll pull a tooth. Nobody broke it 3 times. Women's silence was like a currency. Whichever man had the quietest house was the most praised in society. At family gatherings, my uncles would compete like kids showing off baseball cards. Mira hasn't made a sound since January. Uncle Dev would boast, spreading his fingers. In response, Uncle Raj would lean back, smirking. That's nothing. Priya's going on 2 years. When the doctor asked her a question at her checkup, she just pointed at me to answer. It actually sounds crazy saying it out loud, but for so long, this is just the way things were. And I myself was the loudest person I knew. I couldn't even get through a conversation without laughing at something the other person said, even if it wasn't meant to be funny. I loved singing lyrics out loud and making weird sounds with my friends, so I knew if I didn't find an answer soon, then my life would be over. But I wanted the problem to go away by itself, and one day, it did. I was sitting in 7th grade when Ms. Brown told us that we needed to take a foreign language. My ears perked up, because ASL, American Sign Language, counted. You see, the whole time me and my family were in the USA, because it wasn't until you turned 16 and made the vow of silence before you were sent back to the motherland. And there, you were forced to settle down and have kids. So 3 times a week, I sat in Ms. Brown's classroom learning to speak with my hands. Adrenaline pumped through my veins. If she so much as texted my parents about my choice of language, they'd find out what I was up to, and my life would be over. I even didn't know what I was going to do with the lessons, because no one around me spoke the language. But then came Diwali dinner. All our relatives flew in from the motherland to eat at our house. It was supposed to be the happiest time of the year. But during the meal, I noticed Priya sitting by herself at the end of the table. There were tears silently streaming down her face, and she was unable to tell anyone why. She was 17, a year into her silence. When no one was looking, I handed her a glass of water with a note in my hand. Meet me by the garden shed. Bring your sister. I told everyone that I noticed her sari was wrinkled, and I was going to teach her how to fold it properly in the shed. That's how it started. Every family gathering, while the men watched cricket and the silenced women served food, me and the younger girls would cluster together, all desperate to avoid our fate. I taught them letters first, then words, then we had whole conversations flowing between our fingers. We got creative with practice locations, signing while washing dishes, our hands hidden in soapy water. We developed our own secret gesture. A flick of the wrist meant he's coming. A thumb brush meant save this conversation for later. By the time I turned 15, we had a full network. 12 girls between the ages of 9 and 15, all fluent in a language our fathers and brothers couldn't understand. The older women noticed, but said nothing. Others started learning by watching us. Everything crashed down at my cousin Angeli's wedding. She was 15, marrying a 65-year-old man who'd specifically chosen her for her early, well-trained silence. We were halfway through the ceremony when I noticed her 11-year-old sister glaring right at me. When I looked down at her hands, she signed, he hits her. She showed me the bruises. I watched Angeli standing there in her red wedding sari, unable to object to her own marriage. Something in me snapped. As he started the final vow, I stood up and spoke. But this time it wasn't in sign language. It was out loud. She doesn't want this marriage. He's been hurting her. My mother's face turned ghost white. There were gasps all around me. The room exploded. 200 guests staring as I broke the cardinal rule. My father grabbed my arm, hissing about shame and consequences, but he froze in his tracks because 6 other girls stood up, some speaking for the first time in years. We know about the beatings, one exclaimed. This is illegal, another one shouted. That's when I heard sirens outside. Through the window, I saw 2 police cars and a CPS van. Someone had called them about a marriage in progress. Full story on channel, linked below.